Hello everybody and welcome along to this free webinar on social media tweaks that deliver. Now, I've been having a couple of problems with my webinars over the last couple of days, so I do hope that you can see me. If you can you pop something into chat? I just tried sending something out via chat and I couldn't seem to get it to work. I'm actually on a new system, but if you want to try it and just say hi in there, that would be great. Hopefully you can see me okay. Hopefully you can hear me okay. I think I've got the microphone problem sorted out that I had yesterday, which was an hour that I'll have to re-record, so that wasn't such a great start. But anyway, I hope you can see me. And I hope you're ready to dive in. There is going to be an awful lot of content in this webinar. I will try and move through it quite swiftly. You will see me say things like, you need to do this on your Facebook page or something like that. Don't panic if you don't know how to do it, because what I'm actually going to do is when I send out this recording, with it is going to come out a checklist, and it will actually have some links to further videos of mine where it actually walks you through, short videos that just walk you through doing some of these things. But obviously in a webinar situation, it would be too lengthy if I was going into each of those. And also some people might already have them done, so it won't be of value to them. But I do want to cover that off in case people do need, do need to be able to see it. I'm actually going to enable the Q&A, and just you can always ask questions in there. As we go along. Okay, so hopefully you might be able to see that. I'm not quite sure with this system. I'm still getting to grips with it. But anyway, let's carry on through the webinar. If you can't put anything into the Q&A box, but you do have questions, on the link that's coming out will be my free Facebook group, and you can always ask me in there if you're not too sure. Okay, so first of all, I think most of you know me from AlisonMwood.com. I've also got a few other websites, so Pet Hooligans, Art of Crafts, and some in the home living arena. So I'm used to building social media profiles, not just for my own platform, but also in actual businesses that, make sales. Either they sell products directly. I also work with a number of clients. So it's not just about my own platforms, a sort of a marketing platform I'm talking about here. It's for people that are selling products, that are selling other services, and all different kinds of niches. But these are the things that I've found that work particularly well. So today we're going to focus on Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. Now, obviously we're not going to go into massive depth on each of them, but what I want to do is to draw out some few key things that I think will be particularly helpful for you, that you need to make sure that you're doing if you want to try and obviously get more traffic back to your website, to be making sales, to get people reading more of your updates, to be sending them over to your blog, things like that. Social media is a very important part of your business, but ultimately you need to be using the traffic that you get from social media and channeling it to wherever you're making sales from, whether that's products or services. So the first thing to say, and it's vitally important, is that consistency leads to success. So you need to be consistent, and that can mean whatever it is to you. I can't say to everyone you need to be updating Facebook every day. Obviously, that would be the best case scenario, because the more updates you're putting out there, the better. But if you can only commit to doing it, say, twice or 3 times a week, at least be consistent about doing it those times. Now, if time is a real struggle for you, which I think it is for all of us, I would suggest that it's worth paying for a scheduling tool such as Buffer or Hootsuite. They do actually both have free options, but they're not hugely kind in what they give you. I think on Buffer they give you like Facebook, LinkedIn and Twitter, but they don't include Instagram or Pinterest, for example. But if you just want to at least cover off 3 of them, at least it's a start, and at least it would get you used to using it. What I like about Buffer is it does all the platforms, and also you can add in feeds from blogs, so it helps you to curate content and have things to share, because I think sometimes, you know, we run out of our own content to share, and curating other things, it's very important for your page anyway. You don't want to be putting your own sort of sales pitches or own content out all the time. I would say you need to stick to about 80-20, so 20% of the time it's yours, 80% it's curated content. So that's a really positive thing. And also, when you're sharing other people's things, it often has a little bit more juice in the timeline, so you naturally get more likes and shares on it, because Facebook, if we're talking about Facebook in particular, knows it's popular anyway, therefore it shows it to more people in your timeline. And once they've liked that post, I've got a little tip later on for actually inviting them to your page. Now, as I work through these things, I expect some of them you've already done, but obviously this is quite a mix of people on the webinar, so I do want to capture these key things that you should be doing. And then obviously, hopefully there'll be some things that you haven't heard before, and there'll be new things to help you in your business. Now, I haven't seen any chats come through. I'm not sure if that's because people haven't chatted or whether my chat button is not working. So I'll just carry on anyway. Okay, so obviously on social media, images are all important. You can find free images on places like Pixabay and Unsplash. You can use your own images, you can use your own product images, things that you take when you're out and about. Now, obviously some social media platforms are particularly heavy on images, things like Pinterest and Instagram, but even Facebook and Twitter, you know, it does draw more attention when people are scrolling fast through their timeline if you've got a nice image there to catch their attention, even if it's an image that's summing up your blog post or something like that. I do have a free PicMonkey course if anyone wants any help with PicMonkey, and again, I'll leave a link with the checklist that comes out. Okay, so let's start with Facebook and quickly dive in and just talk about some of the key things that you want to make sure that you've done on your Facebook page. So first of all, always create a business page. Don't try to use your profile for business. A, it's against the rules of Facebook and they could close you down. And B, your profile doesn't have as many options. You can't put things like call to action at the top. You can't have your newsletter integrated, all those kind of things. So if you haven't set up a business page yet, make sure that you do that. The one thing you can do on your profile is in the where do you work section. So this is actually on your profile now, not your page. Go in there, and when it says where do you currently work, if you start typing in the name of your business page, so obviously you'll have to create that first, it will come up in the drop down and you can just then choose it. And then when anyone arrives at your profile, they can click through and find your page. Now, this is important because on groups on Facebook, you can only take part in groups as your profile, not as your page. So you do want, if people come across to find you, to be pointing them forward onto your business. Even if your profile is quite locked down because you want privacy, you can still have the, where do you work and a link to your page, even if that's the only thing that people can see. Now, obviously, you want a nice URL for your Facebook page. Now I'm switching back to the Facebook pages. So make sure you grab your Facebook web address, or what's called a vanity URL. Just go into your About section and you can claim your Facebook page name there. And you can also claim a little @. So say my page was Alison M. Wood, I could have also the username as @Alison M. Wood. So pop in there. If you can't find exactly what you want, if you've got a common name, I really struggled with my name, or you've got a business name that somebody else uses in maybe another country or something like that, just try and get the, as close as possible. I actually had to choose AlisonMwood.com in the end, because obviously the Alison M. Wood was already gone. So you just have to maybe be a bit inventive, but still claim something, because you don't want all those like letters and numbers after your name. The next thing you can do is add a call to action button at the top of your Facebook page. I'm sure you've seen that at the top of the page on the right hand side, it says add button. You can put all sorts of things in there. You can have your newsletter sign up, you can have your shop, you can have a video. So just choose wherever you really want to drive people to. Obviously, if you sell handmade items, or you're a pet sitter, you're probably going to want to be either sending people to your marketplace where they can shop now, or to your maybe your website where they can create a booking. The next thing you should do is in the About section is to create a keyword-rich bio, because these show up in search, actually both on Facebook and in Google itself. So if you say you're a pet sitter in Chicago, make sure that that is clearly in your short About section, and you can even put it in your longer About section as well, because if people are searching, you've then got a good chance of showing up. Obviously, add a link to your website or blog where it gives you that ability to add that, and maybe add your social media tabs as well. You can have Pinterest, Twitter, Instagram. I actually use a free app called Woobox for that. And again, I'll leave you a link in the checklist that comes out. And also, if you're using MailChimp, why not add a tab which includes your newsletter sign up? And hopefully you've all got a newsletter, because it is really key for your business. And also on Pages now, I'm sure you've all seen the new design now. Because the tabs are down the left-hand side, they stand out much more than they did before when they were across the top. For example, the newsletter one wouldn't stand out. It would be like in a drop down in other, whereas now it really stands out much more. So you've got more ability for people to see that and click through and hopefully sign up with you. So here's a handy About section hint. Now this is the extended About section, and it gives you the ability to add a lot more detail about your business in here, and you should really take full advantage of this, not only to help your audience obviously find out more about you if they want to, but as I said, to help you get discovered in search. And that is the one section that is indexed by Google. Now, the other hint is that you can add multiple links in this section. So you can add your website, your blog, other social media profiles, or even just select a few key products or services. Just make sure that you separate the URLs with commas. And if you run a local business, obviously there include as much information about yourself as you can, your phone numbers, your address. You can have a Google map on there. And if you're something like a local restaurant, you could even upload your menu to that. So you make it as easy as possible for people to check you out. And obviously they might click through to your website, which hopefully you'd want them to do as well. But if you've got a taster menu up there, people might be interested in what you've got on offer, and they'll want to find out more about you. Now, the other quick thing to say is just on your cover photo and on your profile image, it is very well worth adding a call to action, a description on that image. So when you upload your cover photo, obviously make it as attractive as possible, because if somebody likes your page, it will show up in that person's timeline, not the whole thing, but you've probably seen it yourself, like a little section of it. So the more attractive it looks, the more you can convey what you're all about, the more likelihood they are to click through. I need to do some work on that actually on my own cover image since I've rebranded, because although it has my website, it doesn't have anything else on there, which isn't really very helpful for people. So you can see that I'm telling people to do these things, not always catching up and doing them myself. But you can actually put wording on your cover image. So you can actually say something like, say you had a great free short report that you wanted to give away on training your dog. I always give that example, but just have a picture of the free report and say, click here to grab it. then when they click on the image, the image will open up and there will be a description section. So in the description section, you can put, you know, if you want more tips on training your dog, sign up for my free short report and have a link to your newsletter page. And that's why I say it's vital to put your newsletter opt-in box on a separate page on your website, because what you don't want to do is to be sending people to your homepage where, yes, you have got an opt-in box, but when people are on websites for the first time, they kind of are a little bit dazed. I think we're all like that. We don't necessarily see that opt-in box straight away. It's like when you go somewhere new, everything looks a bit strange to you, doesn't it? Whereas when you've been there a good few times, it doesn't even seem like the same place sometimes. Well, that's true of websites too. You're somewhere completely new. You want to make people it as easy as possible. So if you have your newsletter on a standalone page, all you want on that page is the opt-in box. So, you know, to sign up for my newsletter, to grab this free short report, and if it is something you're giving away, do a little image of it. And that's where PicMonkey can come in. And actually on my course, I show you how to design, like, you know, ebook short report covers, because you want something visual. You want to make it look attractive, even if it's just a very short report, you know, about some tips for preparing for a new puppy or something. Even if it's just a PDF, you want it to look nice and attractive for people. So add that on the standalone page, and all they need to put in is their first name and their email address, and then they're signed up. So that's just a little tip for adding those call to actions. And all you do is, when you've uploaded your cover photo, click on it, the description box will open and you can put in there whatever you want to. On your cover image, you could even say something like, click here to sign up. You could have an arrow, anything that you wanted to make it more visually appealing. And the same is true of your profile image. Maybe on your profile image, you have a different call to action. You know, you send people to your website or something like that. Another good thing to do to grow your Facebook pages and to grow your following, to get people onto your newsletter, is to do a Facebook giveaway. Now, this doesn't have to be, you know, a vast prize that costs you a lot of money. Obviously, make it one of your own things that you sell. So whether it's a service or whether it's a product, you don't have to go high end. If you only sell high end services, for example, you're going to have to come up with some sort of taster. So maybe a taster coaching session or something like that, which could be a lot shorter. I've got a video. It's quite an in-depth video actually on running Facebook giveaways, but they're well worth it for building your following. And again, I'll show you how to then invite people to your page if they like your giveaway. And the other thing to say is Facebook groups are hugely valuable on Facebook now. Whether you get active in other people's groups, you can come across to my free Facebook group if you want to, or even set up your own. What's different about groups is that once somebody likes them, those updates from the group will always show up in the person's timeline, whereas sometimes with pages that doesn't necessarily happen, because, you know, we all know that our Facebook page probably gets shown to around 15% of our followers every update that we do, unless it gets a lot of comments on or anything like that. So, you know, just make sure that either become part of others. So just go to the search bar at the top, put in your niche or put in your location, you know, because you might find a local business group close to you, or you might find a group about knitting or something like that. If your website's about knitting or you create knitted products, when you put the search in, you can then narrow it down by pages, groups, etc. So just narrow it down and find some good ones to be active in. Some tips there are to make sure that they've got enough members that are worthwhile. They seem active. You don't want to go into groups that either have a load of drama in them or a load of spam coming up. So they need to be well kind of looked after groups. And the other thing is, set up one of your own. That can be a great way. So I don't know if you've got a pet sitting, dog walking website or something like that, open a local group for dog lovers in your particular area or something like that. great way to come across new clients. Okay, so I talked about sharing other people's posts because sometimes they have a bit more energy in the timeline. So if you share, say, a video on your page, it could be one of your own, or it could be your own update. This works for everything, or somebody else's update. Sometimes on my crafts page, I share other people's videos, and they always get loads of views, much more than my, carefully crafted updates that I write. So once people have liked that, all you need to do is go down underneath and click on the likes, and then you can work your way through and invite all those people to like your Facebook page. Now, not everyone will do it, but a good percentage will, and that's a way to radically increase the likes on your page. So make sure that whenever you get likes on any update on your Facebook page, just click on the likes. Anyone that hasn't been invited, quickly work through and invite them. It's well worth the few minutes that takes to do. Particularly another option is if you ever boost them through advertising and you get a lot of likes. Again, that's another way to invite them back to your page. Okay, so that's Facebook. Hopefully that's been some good tips, some actionable tips that you can take and implement. Again, don't worry, I will be mentioning them all in the chat list, so you can always work through them. I haven't seen anything in chat. I have a bad feeling my chat isn't working because when I added something in there, I didn't see it come out. If anyone can tell me whether they did see my chat, that would be fab. But apart from that, let's carry on. Okay, so let's talk about Pinterest now. Some key areas to consider when setting up your profile. So again, always choose a business account, not a personal one. This is important in lots of ways. It allows you to see analytics. You can see what's being pinned. You can do paid pins if you ever want to later on. And it just gives you a little bit more authority, I think, if you do a business one. You can obviously brand it in your business name if it's not your personal name. And even though my name is my business, I still choose a business account. The username should be no longer than 15 characters. So if yours is, you're going to need to cut it down in some form or other. Also on your profile, make sure you include a keyword optimized description. When people are searching on Pinterest, dog training tips, pet sitters, Ohio, just plucking places from the air now, that is going to help you get found. So always make sure that you include in your profile, there's not a lot of space, but what your key focus is. Do you make handcrafted iPad covers, or whatever it is? Narrow it down to what you would say to somebody if they asked you what you did in a couple of lines. And if you're a local business and location is important, obviously get that in there too. Now you also want to do a keyword optimized description on each of your boards and on your pins as well, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But the keyword is the important thing, and when I say a keyword, all I'm talking about is what you want to get found for. So if you've written a great post, a blog post, say it's a tutorial for how to sew a zip into a skirt, you're really proud of this tutorial, you want as many people as possible to find it, you're going to need to put, this tutorial walks you through how to sew a zip into a skirt. And then if somebody's searching with that, you're likely to come up. Now on your boards as well, on each of your boards, so say you're a pet business and you had a dog board, a cat board, a rabbit board, a hamster board, put a few lines about what that board is about. This board talks about all types of rabbit care for your house rabbit or something like that, and include those keywords. So if people are looking around for people that are putting out great content about your niche, there's a chance that you're going to show up. The next thing is obviously adding your website link and verifying it. Now, if you use WordPress, super easy to verify your link. If you use the Yoast plugin, there's actually an area in there where you just copy the code. If you don't use Yoast, there's another Pinterest plugin that you can, well, there's a number actually, you can just put in Pinterest verification plugin, and then all you do is copy these numbers and letters across and put it in, and that's you verified. But it's important to verify because it makes you look more professional, and also it helps with your analytics. Again, if you're a local business, add a location, particularly important if you're trying to target local traffic. So a lot of us just put, our country, US, UK, Canada, wherever. And if, you sell online or something like that, and that's not an issue, that's fine. But you can, of course, put it down to your state, down to your county, your town, your district, whatever you want to do. So if you're a pet sitter in a certain location, make sure you put that location in. And then lastly, a profile image. That's obviously can be a picture of you, your team, or your logo, whatever sums you up best. Now, the other thing to do is to follow related accounts in your niche and also their followers. Now, you don't have to go crazy on this, but when you're first starting out, it will help related content to show up for you, which you can repin. And again, I stick to the rule of around 20-80. So 20% my own content that I'm putting out there, 80% repins or curated content that I've found around the internet. So you can add a Pinterest button to your toolbar in whichever browser you use. So whether you use Chrome or Firefox, just go into, say, the Chrome store, type Pinterest button. You can actually do it on Pinterest as well. They give you where you can add that button. And then if you're on somebody's website, they've written a great blog post about something that's in your niche, why not pin that for them? When you hit the pin button in your browser, it will come up with all the images on that blog post. You can choose which one you want and then write something about it. I really enjoyed this blog post about blah de blah. And again, that's another key thing about always making sure that you've got images that go alongside your blog post, your products, you would probably have that anyway, and your services, because whatever shows up on that page is what people are going to see. So you want it to be relevant. It can be good, for example, to put your blog post titles on the image that's on your blog post as well, because then if people are scrolling through Pinterest quickly, they might see that. Now, the other thing is you can move your boards around on Pinterest. So when you're on your profile, put your best boards, your most relevant boards at the top couple of rows. Also, if you have seasonal boards, like maybe you're handcrafted and you have a lot of Christmas related things or Halloween related things, move those up when it's the relevant time, move them back down. But always showcase your best ones at the top, because if somebody clicks through to your profile, you want the really nice ones to show up there. Now, the size of pins which works best on Pinterest is 735 by 1102, and you can go longer vertically if you want to as well there. The longer that you go down, the better the pins are repinned and commented on and seen. And that's because if you're scrolling through quickly on Pinterest, obviously the longer it is, the more attention that you can garner from people, basically. So make those pins as long as possible, but never any wider than 735. You've probably seen the ones where people put recipes on there. They put tutorials. They have like the bullet points under each other. They have a series of photos. So say, it was a few of your, if you're a dog walker, you have a few of your clients, your dog clients on there, things that really attract people's attention. Now, one word of warning is don't use hashtags in the pin description, as that can hurt your chances of showing up in the feed. So when people are searching for certain things, if you've got a hashtag in there, it can, for some reason, hinder your chances of showing up. So my advice would be not to include hashtags on Pinterest. I think that's a fairly recent thing that they've changed that. So I wouldn't worry if you've got, older pins on there with hashtags in. Don't worry too much about that. But just going forward, I wouldn't include hashtags. Now, the other thing is to pin consistently and engage. The other thing is you don't want to bombard the timeline. So for example, if you were going through your store and you were pinning all your products, you don't want those coming out bam, 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 straight after each other, because anyone that's following you is going to see nothing but your handcrafted items or whatever it is that you sell straight after each other. And that can get a little bit annoying if it's like, you know, just a wall of your items. So either, you know, go in from time to time and pin a few things, or maybe, you know, pin a few different things, so different areas, or do some curated content. Or the best option is to use Buffer again. I know I'm saying about Buffer, I'm not an affiliate of Buffer or anything like that. But what you can do is, like, you could set up, say, 10 times during the day, and then you can just buffer those pins, and then you've got a much greater chance of catching a wider demographic of people who are on there at different times. Just because you're on there pinning doesn't necessarily mean that somebody is going to be, the right client for you or the right buyer for you. So the more you can spread yourself out during the day, particularly on things like products, the better. So again, I would advise Buffer. It is only $10 a month, so it's not a huge investment for that. Maybe even just try it for a month or so. So what works well on Pinterest? Now, I wouldn't, take all of these things as written in stone, but they're just some things that research found worked better than other things. So product images with plain or minimalist backgrounds, and I think that makes sense because you want your product to pop. You don't want either very light or very dark images. Sorry, that should say dark. You don't want, pins that contain multiple colors do better. Warmer colors such as reds and oranges do better than blues. Although if your brand is all about blue, I wouldn't panic about that. This isn't, it'll never get repinned. It's just that some of these things prove more popular. And images without human faces seem to do better on Pinterest, whereas on Facebook, it's more about people, and actually on Instagram too. Whereas I think Pinterest is more about products. Now, this again is another important thing. Pins should always link directly to the item or service you're selling, or to your blog post. So for example, if you've got a silver bracelet that you're pinning, you do not want someone to, when they click on that, go to your homepage. You want them to go to the actual product that you're selling. So you want to send them directly there. If you've got any pins already set up that only send people to your homepage, just click on the edit button, go in and copy the URL in of where that product can actually be bought on your site. That's hugely important because people won't waste any time online, searching around for stuff. If it's not there, they will click away. Obviously include a keyword-rich description, which also highlights the benefits of the item. If you're selling an item of clothing or something, put in there the kind of lifestyle side. This outfit would look great for a wedding reception or something like that. You want to kind of not just sell the features of, this is a cotton dress made out of blah. You actually want to make that person feel like, they want to be wearing it, basically. You can also include a full URL to the item or service or blog post, but don't put a shortened link in there. Do not use bit.ly or tiny links because Pinterest can sometimes flag them as spam. So just put in the full URL. If Pinterest itself shortens it, that's fine, but you don't actually want to shorten it before you add it. And vitally important is, if you are pinning things from your own website, so it's a product or it's a service, not repins. I'm obviously not talking about repins here. And I'm also not talking about affiliate products because while Pinterest does allow affiliate products now, some affiliates have rules around whether you can include prices. So you'll need to look into that for affiliates. But things that you're pinning from your own website, which most people will be doing, is always include the price. Pins that have the price get more attention, more likes, more comments, more click-throughs, around 40% more. And the reason for that, I think, is if people are scrolling fast through their timeline, on Pinterest, they're going to see a lot of things. Some of those they won't know whether it was pinned from a magazine. They don't know whether it's for sale. Where as soon as they see a price, they know immediately that that can be purchased. And if they're interested, they'll click through. The other thing is, don't be put off by thinking, well, mine's a high-end product or a high-end service. It might put people off. Some people are looking for those luxury items or the value of, a high-end service, and they will immediately know whether it's within their, the band that they're looking for. So don't think they're going to be put off. It's better to have people clicking through that are genuinely interested. And also, I've already mentioned this, but important that you repin other people's pins more often than your own. So about that 80-20. So 20% your content, 80% other people's. But keep your boards obviously around a niche where possible. You can come outside of that niche, but if you're a pet sitter or something, you won't just have boards about pet sitting, but you'll probably have pet care, pet housing, pet boarding, all sorts of things, but again, related. Things like DIY, lifestyle, obviously weddings, products, all do really well. Now you can have a look at what's trending on Pinterest and try and bring some of those things into your board. So say you make handmade jewelry, maybe you could still have a wedding board, because you could bring an element in there that, the handmade jewelry you make is perfect for bridesmaids gifts or for brides to wear or something like that. So think around the subject too. Now, some board ideas, obviously you're going to have niche related things, so whatever your niche is. You could also have a board for your blog posts. You could have tutorials that you create. You could have a product showcase, and you could narrow that right down. So as I said, if you were creating jewelry, you could have like handmade silver bangles and put all your handmade silver bangles on there, whereas all your garnet earrings go on a different one. You could have a giveaways one. If you're in a larger business, you could have a meet the team one. You could have testimonials. That's really good. Add your testimonials to an image, and then you can actually pin those to the board. And obviously that's going to really help you, especially if you've got some great, product reviews or testimonials for your services, something like that. You could have a history of your biz, or you could have special offers. Okay, so that's it on Pinterest. The other thing one more thing is rich pins. If you pin a lot of products, it can be worth adding rich pins to your website, but you would need to speak to whoever created your website for that, because it needs certain things done. It needs metadata and stuff like that in there. So if you're interested in rich pins, just go to the Pinterest Help Center, put in rich pins, and it will tell you all about what you need there. Okay, so on to Twitter. I am galloping through this, but I'm conscious of everybody's time. So, right, some key things for must do on Twitter. So if you're a local business, always include keywords in your bio that you want to get found for. So plumber, Bristol, pet sitter, Chicago, wherever you are. I've just got a question through. Brilliant. So there's a question about testimonials. I would just, if you've got a testimonials board, then I would use, if you've got a testimonial section, on your website, then I would use that. If not, then I would send them through perhaps to your website generally, or even to your products. If you've got a testimonial that actually relates to a specific product, what can be nice is to put an image of that product in the testimonial. So say somebody had bought handmade earrings from you, and they said, I adore these handmade peridot earrings, something like that. If you actually put an image on that testimonial, then that's even better. And then obviously if those earrings were still available, click it through to that URL. If it's not, then perhaps you've got some other peridot earrings on there that people would like. So hopefully that's been helpful. So just quickly back to Twitter. So make sure the keywords are in there. Always upload a profile image of you, your logo, or something which represents your business. And again, keep that consistent across all your social media platforms. Hashtags are also very important on Twitter, so do some research to see what comes up connected to your niche. I will talk about a couple of tools later with Instagram for hashtags, and they actually do cover Twitter as well. But you can also go up to the search bar and put some hashtags in. So, you know, if you write about a certain topic, so I might put social media tips in or something like that, see what kind of hashtags are trending for that. Oh, sorry, I'm clicking on the wrong button. Okay, so the next thing is on Twitter, you can create a nice header image that's in line with your brand. This obviously just ties in with my website. It's the same one that's on there. So hopefully if somebody sees me, they come across, they're going to see the similar branding. So they're going to recognize that it's me. So that's really what you want people to be doing. You can also change your colors and your links. So I chose orange to try and blend it in, but you can, you know, do something with your header image there. It's a pretty big image there on Twitter because it's allowing for all types of different, you know, laptops, TVs, mobile phones, stuff like that. So it's a bit difficult to put writing on because it will be shrinking up and down, but, you know, just go with something that represents your brand. So the other thing to say on Twitter is to curate good content and retweet other posts that you like. Because again, you don't want to just be putting your own stuff out there. It's important to start conversations. To find local people, either search, so this is for local businesses. You can find local people, either search or find another local business. It doesn't need to be a competitor, but could be a related business. So say you're dog boarding, you could look for other pet stores or pet sitters, and then you could start to follow their followers. Now, I'm not saying go crazy on this because you don't want to be spamming, you don't want to be following thousands of people, but just to get you started, to get you out there connecting with other people. You can then leave it for a couple of weeks and then unfollow the people that didn't follow you back, as you always want to keep the number of people you are following lower than the number of people following you. Twitter has some rules about that, and if you go over, they will stop you following people. So if you follow a whole bunch of people that don't follow you back, head into TweetDash, which is a free tool. It allows you to see who's not following you back on Twitter. Some of those people might be celebrities or, you know, people that you admire in your niche, and you don't want to unfollow those people. But the general people that you've just followed because you think they might be interested in your products or services and they're not, then, you know, just unfollow those, and then it'll bring your number back down again. Obviously, show up regularly on Twitter. That's important, and it can be a difficult one if you don't have a lot of time. But at least be putting your things out there and try retweeting some other people's info as well. You can also include images now as these show up in the timeline, and videos for variety. So for example, we'll talk about YouTube a little bit later on, and I'll talk about adding videos there. And the other thing you can do is use Twitter lists if there are people that you like to connect with regularly, or you follow a certain, you know, type of information in your niche, or you put together all the craft magazines, for example. Say you're a crafter and you add a list of all those craft magazines there. They can be a good way to organize and find tweets, because obviously tweets are rushing past all the time. Okay, LinkedIn now. I'm conscious of the time, but we've still got a little bit of time, so we'll keep going. So LinkedIn, some must-do things to do on LinkedIn. So try and get involved in some LinkedIn groups. Obviously, that can be a great way to make new connections. You can search by your niche, you can search by your location, and you know, there might be one for your city or town, and you can connect with those. That's good if you sell business to business, definitely. But you can also look at, you know, pets or crafts or tax accountants or whatever you are, and find some people relevant to you. Obviously, you want to set up a great profile on LinkedIn. It's almost a CV or a resume. And you want to really sell your business in your bio. Now, some people I know will have a job as well as their business, so they need to probably have their job on there as well. But as long as there's no conflict with your employer, you can put your business on there too, and really sell again the benefits, what you offer and stuff like that. Endorse other people as they're likely to do the same for you. Obviously, genuine endorsements, you don't want to be writing about people that you don't really know, but those genuine endorsements can really help. And connect with people you know from real life, as this is a good way to start growing your network, because you then might get recommended on to their network, etc., etc. The other thing you can do is to consider writing some posts for LinkedIn Pulse. That's almost like a mini blogging platform. And you can add short posts there. You can include links, videos, images, etc. And that can be a great way to stand out, because when you add a LinkedIn Pulse post, it actually shows up to all your followers as well. And also post regularly to the LinkedIn timelines, just as you do on Facebook. So, when you go into the homepage on LinkedIn and you can write an update, do the update just as you would on Facebook. So, if you've got a great blog post that you want to share, something like that, write a description about it. This was actually a video you can see in front of you here. So I wrote about what the video was about, and I'd actually shared that directly from YouTube. But, a blog post, you can do the same thing. You can have the URL of the blog post. If you are a blogger, the best thing I find is to have a toolbar underneath your blog posts, and then you can just systematically work through. You can write a short description, then you can share it to Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, etc. And that's a really quick way of doing it. You can also buffer these things so they go out. So if you write one update on Buffer, you can choose to send it out to, again, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, etc. Instagram. So let's talk about some must-dos for Instagram. So obviously create a keyword-rich bio which sums up what you do. Again, you don't have a lot of space here, so choose wisely with your keywords. You want to make it kind of quite fun. You want to bring out what you offer. All those kind of things. So again, if a location is important to you, put the location in, but really the keywords of what you create, what you make, what you sell, what services you offer. Always include your website link in the URL space, as this will be the only clickable one. You can change that up from time to time if you want to. Say you wanted to send someone to a particular opt-in page, a particular sale that you've got going on, something like that. If you include links on the image descriptions, make them as short as possible, as they won't be clickable. So if somebody wants to type them in, they want something quite short. If you use WordPress, you can use the plugin Pretty Link. That's a free plugin to make your URLs more memorable. So for example, if I had a web URL that was AlisonMwood.com/the 10 best tools I use online, that's too long. So you could just have AlisonMwood.com/tools. You could shorten it to. So that can be really helpful for being on there. Now, obviously, it's all about the hashtag on Instagram. And if you use relevant ones, you can get found by a much wider audience. You can, of course, type in hashtags on the site. And as you start to type it in, you'll see a drop down. So say you were putting like dog, up will come dog care, dogs of Instagram, dogs I love, things like that, and you can choose the ones that you want. You can also do some research on hashtagify.me and Iconosquare, although the second one is actually a paid service now, but it can be helpful to grow your audience. I also use a tool called Crowdfire. I think that's the right one. I'll put a link in. And in that, you can see who's not following you back. So if you want to follow some people and then unfollow the ones that don't follow you back, you can use that for that. It's a little bit like TweetDash. In fact, you can use it for both Twitter and Instagram, but it is a paid service. Now, it goes without saying that images are what make you stand out on Instagram, so make yours as good as you can, whether they're product images, images that you get from Pixabay and add quotes to, lifestyle ones. Now, they don't have to be, super duper. They can be ones that you've just taken on your phone, and when you add a filter to it, it takes out a lot of it makes it look better than it perhaps would otherwise. But obviously the quality of the images is important. So have a mixture of images. You can create quote ones. So if you were a pet business, you could do about pets, put your URL on those. You could have behind the scenes from your working day. You could have some images of, this is all kind of about pets here. You could feature images of some of your pet clients. But you could also do that with anything. You could have testimonials again. And if you included an image of the product that they bought, even better. And to attract local traffic, maybe photos from around your local area, if locally is important to you. You can see there on the right, I live in somewhere called Wokingham. So if you started typing in Wokingham, the things near you would show up. Why it says beer and food festival there is there was one near me recently. It's not that I live right next door to a beer and food festival. So, you can find your location and that tags you. So if you are a local business and you've got a store in town, that's going to be super important. And then also you can choose to share some of your images to your other profiles. So you don't necessarily have to do that all the time, but it can be nice occasionally to do it to Facebook, Twitter, etc. So again, follow brands and businesses related to your niche and make sure you interact, liking posts and commenting on some. If any of your clients are on Instagram, you could follow them and interact, or people that you know from groups, things like that. Instagram allows you to find all your Facebook friends on there. So if you're just getting started, that can be a good way to connect with some new people. And obviously post consistently, but spread them out so the images don't go out close together. And I would say probably no more than 3 times per day. And for some people that might be way too much, but at a maximum, I would say that's about right. Okay, YouTube. I think we're nearly there now, actually. Yeah, we haven't got too much more to go. So YouTube. Now this is really valuable if you'd like to create some images, some videos, because you're reaching an audience that you may not do otherwise through the other social media platforms. Also because YouTube is owned by Google, your video has a good chance of showing up in Google search, particularly if you think carefully about the keywords you're using to title your video with and in its description. So also include location keywords if that's important to you and you're a local business. Now, if you have created a video, change the actual title. So say the video saved on your phone or wherever as, video 123. Change the title to include the keywords. So if I was uploading a video about top tips to improve Pinterest, but it wasn't saved as that, I would actually go in and change the name of the video to that keyword before I uploaded it. That can help you to give a big boost for getting found. So whatever you've created your video about, say it's all your handcrafted products or something like that. So say it's a showcase of children's clothing, handmade children's clothing, just title the video that way and that will really help you to get found. Again, set up your channel with an image which represents your brand. Again, try and keep it consistent across all your social media platforms. Then create a variety of videos. Now, some people won't like doing some things. I don't like doing talking head where I'm talking to camera. So most of mine are screen share or PDFs or out and about. But, even with the ones that you don't want to do, you can still create a range. The videos with slides are easy to do with PowerPoint if you've got that, Google Slides, Keynote, whatever you've got on your PC or your Mac. And then you can do a voiceover to it. Also include a keyword-rich title description on each video and a call to action for the person to check out your services or your products or whatever. So you can see that one of my videos was adding a featured video to your Facebook About section. Obviously in the description, I said what it was about, and then I actually linked through to my free Facebook group. So it doesn't always have to be a sales page. It can just be somewhere where you want people to check out. Your newsletter can be good. Something that you're giving away free can be good. And the other thing to say is to share direct from YouTube. So this means that the actual video will show up on your Pinterest board, in the Twitter timeline, etc. So if I created my video, then go to the share section. If I hit the Pinterest and I save it to one of my boards, the actual video will show up on the board. So that's really good because people might then watch it there without having to click away from Pinterest. They might be more likely to watch it. In the pinned description, you can also still put what it's about. You can put your call to action. So whether it was a service or a product you wanted them to look at, you can still put it in your pinned description. So just do that. You can do it on Google Plus. I think YouTube is set up to do it automatically on Google Plus if you've got them connected. You can do it for LinkedIn. You can do it for Twitter, so Facebook, obviously. So just go through and do a few of those because it starts getting you some exposure. You can also embed it on your website or your blog for more exposure. So you could write a blog post about it. Different people will find it. So the thing with everything is to get it out in as many ways as possible. Get your blog post out there in as many ways as you can. Okay, I think that is probably it. So we're going to have a Q&A session in a second if anyone wants to ask any questions. As I said, your head might be spinning with all that information. I know there was a ton of information in there, but I just wanted to include some helpful things. Again, the replay will be coming out. You can watch again. The checklist will be coming out with further videos, but also you can just work through and make sure that you've done all these things actually on your different profiles. So just before the Q&A, if you've liked some of this information, I just wanted to briefly mention my Momentum group. It's a membership group. At the moment, it's £15 per month. That actually ends tomorrow. The price is rising. And we cover a lot of different areas, all about promoting and marketing your business, getting you more exposure, getting you more sales and leads. So it's mindset and productivity we cover, which can be important, website and blogging, list building, social media, and generating additional revenue streams. So things like affiliates, courses. We've also got a private Facebook group, so it's a really great place to connect with others. And I will be sending the link if anyone wants to join. As I say, the price does rise from the 1st of October, so if you do want to jump on board, there's no long-term tie-in. You could try it for £15 for 1 month if you wanted to, and you can cancel at any time. Okay, any quick questions? I think the Q&A is working, so if anyone wants to type anything into that, that would be brilliant. If not, again, I will send you a link to my Facebook group where you can ask any questions in there as well. Because I know for some people they might not have the chat box in front of them. No, it doesn't look like going to be any questions. Oh, so there's a question about what is the best kind of content to share from other people. I think, again, that is just relates to your niche. So if you create handcrafted items, you might want to share some crafting information, some tutorials from other people, you know, some events that are coming up, and, you know, whatever your niche is, I would just look for things related. And then again, it also it does also depend what platform that we're talking about as well. Yeah, definitely. So this person's saying I sell a product, so 20% of my posts are my product. So what should the 80% be? DIY, tutorials, that sort of thing. Yes, definitely. As I said, sort of events, anything related to your niche, but obviously it doesn't need to be other people's products necessarily, although it could be other people's products that aren't a direct competitor to you. So if you're, you know, friendly with some other people on Pinterest, you might want to promote some of their items as well. If they're not, as I say, a direct competitor, maybe they sell earrings and you sell children's clothing or something like that. Or there can be things like wedding planners, you know, wedding photographers, wedding cake makers, where you can actually help each other. You can maybe even share to people's newsletters and things like that. So that can all be helpful. You can also create group boards as well for people that you know, where you can all put your products, and that reaches a wider audience too, because it's reaching the audience of everybody that's in that Pinterest board. Any other quick questions? Oh, maybe I need to. I'm just deleting the ones that I've answered just so I don't get confused, which happens pretty easily. Okay, it doesn't look like there's anything else coming through. Well, I hope that's been really helpful. I'm actually going to send you out to my Momentum page if you do want to have a look at that, and also wait for the checklist to come out to you. Thanks so much for coming along, everybody. I hope it's been helpful. I hope you've enjoyed it. We've packed a lot into this time, and I do run webinars quite often, so hopefully I'll see you on one soon. Thanks so much for coming. Bye for now.